welcome to the deep dive. You guys have sent in a ton of material about climate change and insurance.
Yeah, seems like everyone wants to know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's a hot topic for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to zero in on the 2025 London Insurance Week Summit.
Okay.
They've put out this document outlining their whole plan, and
it's pretty interesting stuff.
it's not like your typical boring industry report.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This is about how climate change is going to totally reshape how we think about risk.
Yeah. Risk business.
Yeah,
Maybe even how we live, right?
totally. It's like a sneak peek into how this massive industry is trying to deal with some of the biggest challenges we're facing.
So the document starts off with this intense reality check.
Yeah.
It's like, remember those crazy wildfires in Australia and California?
Oh, yeah.
And those hurricanes like Ida and Amphen
Yeah.
and all the floods across Europe and Asia?
Mm-hmm.
They basically say, buckle up, because this is just the beginning.
Oh, wow.
They're saying these events are going to get even more frequent
Oh, yeah.
and way more intense.
It's a stark reminder that climate change isn't some far-off threat.
Right.
This is happening now,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's impacting people's lives right now.
And their livelihoods. And the document doesn't hold back when it comes to talking about the money, the cost of all this.
Yeah.
They're talking billions in losses just from the wildfires.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, how is the insurance industry supposed to handle these costs?
Yeah. Can they stay afloat with this happening?
That's the big question, isn't it? Actually, the document suggests that these extreme events are shaking the foundation of how insurance even works.
No.
Traditional risk models, the ones based on past data to predict future events, they're not keeping up with these climate disasters.
So it's not just about premiums going up.
Right.
We're talking about the system
The whole system,
potentially breaking down.
possibly. Yeah. The document highlights these insurability challenges,
Okay.
and it goes beyond things just getting more expensive. Imagine insurers pulling out of high-risk areas altogether.
That's a scary thought.
It is. They just can't accurately assess the risks anymore,
Right.
which would leave businesses and individuals extremely vulnerable.
So, I mean, what happens then? People just go without insurance.
That's one of the big questions this summit's trying to address.
Okay.
They talk about bridging these coverage gaps.
Mortgage gaps.
Yeah, situations where you think you're covered, but the fine print excludes the specific type of damage caused by climate change.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah, so even if you can get insurance,
You might not actually be protected.
right, for what you need it for.
That's unsettling. Can you give us an example of what one of those gaps might look like?
Sure, imagine you live on the coast and have comprehensive flood insurance,
Okay, makes sense.
but then a massive storm surge hits, causes major damage.
Right.
You go to file a claim
Yeah.
and discover that your policy specifically excludes damage from storm surges,
Oh, no.
which is common in climate-driven flooding.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck with huge costs that you thought you were insured for.
Wow, that's a big problem.
It is, and it's a growing concern.
Okay, so we've got this looming sense of crisis,
Yeah.
but the document also talks about the transition to a low-carbon economy. Is that where the opportunities come in?
Exactly. There's a big push towards sustainability with policies like the European Green Deal kind of leading the charge.
Okay.
We're seeing this rise of renewable energy, new regulations,
Yeah.
and tons of new technology popping up.
That's pretty exciting, but it's probably a lot to handle for businesses that haven't been planning for this.
Oh, for sure. It's a scramble to adapt.
What are some of the challenges that businesses are facing right now?
They need to adapt quickly. For one,
Um,
invest in new technologies and navigate this constantly changing world of regulations.
yeah.
The document really stresses that this transition has both risks and rewards.
Right.
Think about it. You've got entire industries built around fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Now they have to reinvent themselves.
So it's not just about survival, it's about,
Private.
yeah, finding ways to benefit from this big change.
That's the key. Think about the potential in renewable energy, sustainable building materials, even climate risk consulting. These are entire industries emerging around the need to adapt.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Definitely not.
There are some serious opportunities here for those willing to change.
Absolutely. The document highlights how this transition can actually be a catalyst for innovation and growth,
Okay.
but it requires a real shift in thinking.
So it sounds like the summit in London is going to be a lot more than just your typical industry conference.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like,
A crossroads for the future.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think they're hoping to accomplish by bringing all these different people together?
The document really emphasizes the collaboration aspect.
Okay.
You've got business leaders, policymakers, investors, researchers, even NGOs, all coming together.
Wow, that's quite the group.
It is. It's a multi-sector approach
Yeah?
to these huge challenges.
Okay, so we've got this really diverse group of people
Yeah,
coming together to discuss what sounds like a pretty intense agenda.
definitely.
What are some of the debates you think they'll be tackling?
They'll be diving into the nitty-gritty of risk management in this changing world.
Okay.
One of the key things will be redefining risk models for the age of climate change.
Gotcha.
That's where they'll be dissecting how the old models are falling short
Right.
and exploring new ways to measure these unpredictable risks.
So they're not just talking about the problem.
No.
They're actually looking for solutions.
Exactly. They're offering a path forward, a vision for a more resilient and sustainable future.
Yeah.
And they're inviting everyone to be part of it.
That's a powerful message.
It is. They're not just presenting you a problem, but a way forward.
Right. A plan.
Right. And everyone can play a part.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
It feels like this summit is about empowering everyone to be part of the solution.
That's a great way to put it. They're offering a vision for a better future,
Right.
and they want everyone to help build it.
It sounds like they're raising the bar for what it means to be a responsible business in this day and age.
For sure. It's not just about profit anymore.
Right.
It's about taking a broader view of your role in society and on the planet.
That's a big shift.
It is.
Yeah.
The document talks about the need for a paradigm shift in how we think about risk, resilience, and sustainability.
Paradigm shift. Sounds intense. What does that actually look like?
It means going beyond small changes and embracing truly transformative solutions.
Oh, wow.
It means questioning everything we think we know
Right.
and being open to completely new ways of doing things.
Can you give me an example? What kind of transformative solutions are we talking about?
Well, think about how we design cities.
Okay.
Can we create cities that are more resilient to extreme weather?
Right.
Can we integrate green spaces and sustainable building materials to lessen the impact of climate change?
It's like we need to rethink how we build our world.
Exactly.
And what about our financial system?
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Are we supporting companies that are part of the problem,
Right.
or are we investing in the solutions?
It's a big question.
It is. We need to align our financial systems with our sustainability goals.
Yeah, making sure our investments are supporting a low-carbon economy.
Exactly.
But how do we make sure that this transition is fair for everyone?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
The document stresses the importance of a just transition,
Okay.
making sure no one is unfairly burdened by the costs of climate action.
So how do they plan to do that?
They talk about creating new job opportunities in green industries,
Okay.
providing support for workers transitioning out of fossil fuel jobs,
Gotcha.
and addressing the needs of communities that are most vulnerable to climate change.
It's a massive undertaking.
It is. Where do we even begin?
That's the question.
It starts with recognizing the scale of the challenge and the urgency to act. We need everyone working together.
Governments, businesses, communities.
Everyone, individuals too.
Well, it seems like this London Insurance Week summit is a good place to start.
Definitely.
It's bringing so many people together to discuss these issues.
It is. And it's not just about talking.
Right.
It's about taking action.
Yeah, actually doing something.
The summit aims to develop real solutions.
Solutions that can be implemented in the real world.
Exactly.
This is all so fascinating.
It is.
But I think we need to take a break here.
Yeah, good idea.
We've covered so much,
We have.
and there's still a lot more to discuss.
Absolutely. Let's take a moment to absorb all this.
Yeah.
And come back to dig deeper into the specific strategies and innovations they'll be talking about at the summit.
Sounds good to me.
So we were talking about how this summit is about more than just understanding the risks.
Yeah, it's about finding solutions.
Exactly. Taking action.
Right. And I think a lot of people listening are probably like, okay, but what does all this mean for me?
Right.
How is this actually going to affect my life?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like these changes in the insurance industry.
Yeah, for sure. And the document actually addresses that directly.
Oh.
One of the key things is affordability, right?
Okay.
Like, can people even get insurance in a world where climate risks are so hard to predict?
We talked about those coverage gaps earlier.
Yeah. Can you give us some more, like, real-life examples?
Absolutely. Imagine you're trying to buy a house on the coast, right?
Okay.
In the past, getting flood insurance was pretty easy.
Yeah.
But as the sea level rises and storms get worse,
Oh?
insurers are getting nervous. They might start charging crazy high premiums.
So, basically, owning a home in some areas could become way too expensive.
Exactly. Even if you can afford the mortgage itself.
Wow.
Or imagine you're running a small business
Oh.
in a place with lots of wildfires.
Okay.
As those fires become more common and destructive, insurers might just stop offering fire coverage altogether.
Seriously?
Yeah, leaving businesses totally exposed.
That's a scary thought. It's like insurance is becoming a luxury.
That's a real concern, and it's why this summit is so important.
Right.
They're bringing all these experts together
Okay.
to try and figure out solutions.
Like what kind of ideas are they talking about?
Well, the document mentioned parametric insurance
Okay.
and catastrophe bonds. Have you heard of those? Those sound kind of complicated.
They are a bit complex.
Yeah.
But the basic idea is to find new ways to manage risk.
Okay.
Let's start with parametric insurance.
Okay.
It's different than traditional insurance.
How so?
Instead of waiting for someone to come out and assess the damage after, say, a hurricane,
Right.
parametric insurance pays out as soon as a specific event happens.
So like a trigger event?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of focusing on the actual losses,
It's based on that event happening.
right, like let's say you're a farmer and you're worried about drought.
Okay.
You could get a policy that pays out if rainfall drops below a certain level.
Interesting.
No need to wait for someone to check your crops. The payout is automatic.
That's pretty cool.
Right, much faster than traditional claims.
And what about those catastrophe bonds?
Oh, those are interesting. It's a way for insurers to transfer some of their risk to investors.
Okay, so other people take on the risk.
Kind of. Investors buy these bonds,
Mm-hmm.
knowing they could lose money if a big catastrophe happens.
Right, like an earthquake or a hurricane.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if it doesn't happen,
They make a good return.
exactly. So it spreads the risk around instead of it all being on the insurance company.
That's a clever idea.
Right. It's one example of how the industry is thinking outside the box.
Yeah, they're realizing the old ways might not work anymore.
Right? But it's not just about the insurance companies, is it?
No. This whole transition is going to affect everyone.
You got it. And that's another key point from this document.
Okay.
They're not just looking at the insurance side.
It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. They're thinking about the whole economy and society.
So it's about rethinking how we do everything.
Exactly. Business, building communities, even how we live our lives.
That's a huge shift.
It is. The document talks about this transition being both a challenge and a huge opportunity.
We touched on that earlier.
Yeah. But can we dive a bit deeper?
Yeah. What do those opportunities actually look like?
Think about renewable energy.
Okay.
We're talking solar, wind, geothermal. Huge industries are growing around this stuff.
Right.
And it's not just producing energy.
It's about using it more efficiently, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Companies that can help us use less energy are going to be in high demand.
So it's about rethinking how we use energy in the first place.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just energy, too.
Okay, like what?
Sustainable building materials,
Okay.
green infrastructure,
Right.
climate risk consulting, all kinds of things.
So there's potential everywhere.
Basically, we need a whole new mindset.
Yeah. Can't just keep doing things the old way.
Right. We need to be more creative.
More adaptable.
Exactly. More focused on long-term sustainability.
That's what this summit's all about, right?
It is. It's about finding solutions that work for everyone.
It's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom of climate change.
Yeah.
But talking about these opportunities is actually kind of inspiring.
Right.
It feels like we can build a better future,
I agree.
a more sustainable one,
And a more equitable one.
if we're willing to work together and change.
I totally agree. It's a big challenge. But it's also a chance to rethink our relationship with the planet and each other.
I like that. The document also talks about corporate responsibility.
Yeah.
What does that mean when we're talking about climate change?
It means businesses need to think about their impact.
The environment.
Yeah, and society.
Yeah,
It's about going beyond just profits.
right. Taking a more holistic view.
Exactly. So it's not just about doing the bare minimum to follow the rule.
You need to do more.
Way more. They need to actively try to reduce their impact,
Okay.
contribute to a sustainable future, and be accountable.
Can you give me an example of what that would look like?
Sure. Imagine a clothing company
Okay.
that uses cheap labor and harmful materials.
Right.
A responsible company would try to source their materials ethically,
Okay.
pay their workers fairly,
Yeah.
and invest in sustainable processes.
So it's about making choices that are good for people and the planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it means less profit in the short term.
It's a long-term view.
It is. And it's also good business, actually.
How so?
Consumers care about this stuff.
They're paying attention.
Yeah. Companies that are seen as sustainable are more attractive to customers.
And investors.
Exactly. Sustainability is becoming a competitive advantage.
That's interesting.
And they're talking about this a lot at the summit.
Okay.
Like how to encourage sustainable practices.
Right.
How to measure progress and get consumers involved.
This is all really fascinating stuff.
It is?
But what can we do in our own lives to help with this transition?
That's a great question. The document touches on that too.
Okay, good.
It's great to hold corporations and governments accountable,
All right.
but we can make a difference too.
It's not just about waiting for someone else to fix it.
Right. We have to take responsibility for our own choices.
So what can we do?
Think about your daily habits.
Okay.
Can you use less plastic?
Yeah.
Choose energy-efficient appliances?
Mm-hmm.
Walk or bike instead of driving?
Okay.
These small changes add up when millions of people do them.
So it's about making conscious choices.
Yeah. Being mindful of our impact.
And supporting sustainable businesses.
Exactly. Vote with your wallet.
I like that. Choose companies that are doing the right thing.
Right? It can feel overwhelming.
It does sometimes.
Yeah. Start small.
Okay.
Pick one or two things to change.
Right.
Once you're comfortable, add more. It's a journey.
Not a destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Right.
It feels good to do something positive.
It does.
It feels good to be part of the solution.
I agree. And this summit reminds us that we're not alone in this.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
There are people all over the world working on this.
It's inspiring to see.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have from insurance challenges to opportunities in a low-carbon economy.
Yeah, a lot of ground.
Anything else in the document that stood out to you?
There's one more thing. It's about the location.
Oh, yeah, London. Almost forgot.
Right. But it's more than just a location.
Okay.
They talk about experiencing the city.
Right. They even suggest things to do.
Yeah, it's like they're selling us a vacation.
I know, right?
But I think it's more than that.
What do you mean?
This summit is about bringing people together from all over
Right.
to tackle a global problem.
Yeah.
And what better place than a diverse city like London?
So it's not just about the formal stuff. It's
Yeah.
about those informal interactions, too.
Exactly. Conversations over coffee, chance encounters.
That spark new ideas.
Right. Sometimes the best ideas come when you least expect them.
You've convinced me. Maybe we should book a trip.
I'm down. But before we do that,
Yeah.
let's take a moment to process all this,
Yeah, good idea.
and then we'll come back for the final part of this deep dive.
Okay.
We'll see what concrete outcomes they're hoping for at the summit
Right.
and what it all means for the future.
That sounds good. Okay, so we're back for the last part of our deep dive into this London Insurance Week summit document. And you know what? After all this talk, I'm actually feeling kind of optimistic.
Yeah, I get that. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by climate change. But this document really focuses on solutions.
Yeah, they're not just pointing out the problems.
Right.
They're trying to find a way forward. So let's talk about that. What are they actually hoping to achieve at this summit?
Can't just be all talk, right?
Exactly. What's the action plan?
Well, the document is pretty clear about their goals.
Okay, good.
They want this to be a catalyst for change.
Not just another conference.
Right, exactly. They're talking about partnerships, pilot projects, real strategies.
Okay, that sounds promising. But how do they plan to make that happen? How will we know if they're successful?
They've actually laid out some specific objectives.
Okay, I like it when they get specific.
Yeah, me too.
That-
First, they want to see more investment in climate-resilient infrastructure.
So like what? Building seawalls?
Yeah, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Protecting coastal communities,
Okay,
upgrading power grids to handle extreme weather.
makes sense. Making sure our systems can withstand the impacts of climate change.
Exactly. They also want to see new insurance products.
To help with those coverage gaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Things like parametric insurance, micro-insurance, maybe even public-private partnerships to make insurance affordable for everyone.
So they're really trying to shake things up in the insurance world.
They are. It's not just about doing things the old way anymore.
It's about adapting to a changing climate.
Right. And it goes beyond just insurance, too.
Yeah.
They want to develop industry-wide standards for climate risk disclosure.
So basically getting companies to be more upfront about the risks.
Exactly. More transparency.
Okay.
So investors can make better decisions.
And hold those companies accountable.
Right. And finally, they want to focus on education and awareness.
So getting the word out.
Yeah. Helping people understand the risks of climate change.
Right.
But also the opportunities.
And what they can do to help.
It's about empowering individuals to take action.
I like that. It's
Yeah.
not just up to the big guys.
Right. They want to create a movement.
A real groundswell of support for climate action.
Exactly. And that's what I find so hopeful about this summit.
Me too. There's this sense of urgency, but also this feeling of hope. Like we're finally starting to take real action on climate change.
I agree. It's easy to get discouraged, but there are so many people working on this.
It's inspiring to see.
It is. And they're coming together to share ideas and collaborate.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
It's a reminder that even with a global crisis, we can still find hope.
Hope in collective action, in human ingenuity.
I love that the future isn't set in stone, right?
Right.
We create it with our choices and actions.
And this summit feels like a turning point.
It does.
Like we're choosing a better path.
The more resilient and sustainable world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Big thanks to you for guiding us through it all.
It was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this has given you a better understanding of climate change and the challenges and opportunities it presents. Remember, this is just the beginning.
It is.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing for a better future. Who knows, maybe we'll see you in London in 2025.